This is the science of stupid. Warning! Do not attempt to try anything you're about to see. It could lead to pain, personal injury, or worst of all, severe embarrassment. Yes, this is the show that combines serious science with stupid stunts, where we can enjoy a multitude of mistakes and analyse what went wrong. Through their pain, we'll gain an insight into scientific principles like centripetal force, momentum, and tensile strength, or lack thereof. Science is the master, and we must respect its laws or suffer the consequences. So don't try any of this at home or even in your head. It's the science of stupid. In this show, we'll learn about parabolic trajectory, torque, and angular momentum. But first, this. When I first started wearing leather trousers, people thought I was having a massive midlife crisis, but they were wrong. It was actually to stop this from happening again. You only make that mistake once in life. Yep, with zip lines, there are things you need to watch out for, like your speed, your landing zone, and of course, exactly where you put the guide rope. Going down a zip line is the easy bit. You just hold on and hope for the best. It's the getting off that requires an understanding of science, and that starts by knowing that energy can't be created or destroyed, only converted to other forms. Our sliding man has a lot of kinetic energy, but this zip line has a stopper, so he swings up like a pendulum, trading his kinetic energy for gravitational potential energy. Another option is to gradually convert his kinetic energy into heat through friction, or lose that kinetic energy more quickly by generating a larger impact force. So it's all about safely shedding your kinetic energy. Let's see if these guys have been paying attention. That soft tyre should dissipate his kinetic energy nice and gradually. That was a bit sudden. And when his feet come off, he experiences angular velocity, then gravitational acceleration, and then impact force. Maybe these guys will have better luck trying to slide the right way up. Yep, that stopper dissipated his kinetic energy, but in doing so, it converted his linear velocity into angular velocity, turning him into a pendulum. This guy sensibly has a foot strap to help him stay in control, which it doesn't seem to do. That foot strap spins him around even faster. And he now knows what the forest floor tastes like. Piney with a hint of mushroom.
Is it Tyler?
Yeah, that's Tyler.
Tyler's going to try his luck using friction to slow down.
Oh my god!
Well, he did stop, so it sort of worked. The fastest zip line in the world hits over 100 miles an hour. Tyler's not going that fast, but it's fast enough.
Oh my god!
Now this lad has thought ahead and has someone holding a rope to gradually slow him down.
Oh, let go!
And it probably works a treat. To be honest, I was too busy watching the rope lady get pulled in. Now, fairly obviously, I'm a bit of a star on the basketball court. A slam dunk champ, if you will. But I'm painfully aware that not everyone has my enviable physique and athletic prowess.
These are amazing basketball shots.
I think the viewers will be the judge of that. that wasn't. Let's see how she does. Oh, well, that's just cheating. Didn't seem to help much either. This kid wants his hoop shooting skills caught on camera. Let's hope it's worth it. Definitely worth it. To the many people in the world who are not me, the dunk might be out of the question. But that doesn't mean basketball can't be fun. But what's the science behind the skill of shooting hoops? For maximum launch velocity, he uses the kinetic chain of his shoulder, elbow, wrists and fingers, extending these joints in sequence. The ideal launch angle is about 50 degrees, from as high as possible, so it helps to be tall and to jump. The launch velocity, angle and height determine the shape of the ball's curved parabolic trajectory, which, if chosen carefully, should coincide with the hoop. Honestly, it is like watching myself. And one last thing, if you are on the move, you need to watch your momentum too, as that complicates things. So that's the science, but what about putting all that theory into practice? Slam dunk! When running towards the hoop, watch your momentum and where you're going. Let's see how this kid manages a classic layup. Well, he understands about the kinetic chain, but not apparently about perspective. With 2 basketball hoops and a trampoline, it looks like this kid takes his b-ball seriously. But that still hasn't improved his aim. The world's longest basketball shot is 112 feet 6 inches. All right, calm down. That was 112 feet no inches. When you finally have the hang of it, you can try what people call the no-look shot. To the uninitiated, that is shooting backwards and overhead. And with a bit of practice, you'll be getting baskets all day long.
All day.
More practice needed. Like this guy trying out a trick shot. I don't think he's been paying attention to the science at all. A misjudged launch angle means that when the parabolic trajectory was interrupted by the wall, it was also interrupted by the crossbar and then his crotch. That looks good. Oh, but in my experience, it's always dangerous to celebrate before you know you've made your shot. And that's what you get for being smug.
It'd be sick if I hit this.
It would. Oh dear. This experimental chef is going to tenderize his steak using his wooden sword. But what scientific principle is he about to unwittingly demonstrate? We asked you what science this topless swordsmith was about to show us. Well, he's learned a little more about Class 1 levers. When his wooden blade hits the steak, it also strikes the table edge and breaks from the underside. As the rest of the sword is moving downwards, the broken end rotates backwards, becoming a Class 1 lever, much like a catapult. Oh! Still, I bet his meat's tender now. I love skiing. I mean, it's not really the skiing itself that gets me going. It's the freezing weather, the overpriced hot chocolate, and the near-death experiences that I really get my kicks from. See what I mean? Spine-chilling. It has a huge attraction. To those of us who love being in traction. Now this is impressive. Look at him go! To hospital. Well, ski flips are hard and best left to the professionals, as I've learnt to my detriment. And that's partly because they're packed with complicated science. So why don't we take a look? As he hits the ramp, the more vertical velocity our man achieves, the higher he'll go and the more airtime he'll have to perform the flip. For a front flip, he needs to lean forwards by flexing his hips as he launches. This generates a forward lean and angular velocity. However, too much angular velocity and he risks over-rotating. And the reverse is true, too little angular velocity and you can under-rotate. Either way, he's in for a bad time on landing. So the perfect front flip requires a combination of fast enough takeoff velocity, correct body position and controlled rotation. And the same is true for the back flip. It's just about explosively straightening your knees and hips to get that opposite rotation and using the momentum of your skis to help carry you round. Simple. Let's see how it should be done. Well, not like that.
Oh my God.
He hits the ramp with more than enough velocity, generates too much angular momentum so he over-rotates and loses his skis. Oh, there they are. Night jumping. Now this is a confident skier hitting the ramp and then hitting most of the piste on the way down. This time it's too little angular momentum that's the problem, so he under-rotates. And that's the point there where he wishes he'd gone for the more expensive travel insurance. This guy's so confident he doesn't even need poles. Did he mean to do that? Is that a thing? After an amazing flip, the hard landing stored enough energy in his joints to bounce him back onto his feet, and off he heads, presumably to buy a lottery ticket before that luck runs out. OK, settle down at the back, please. Jones, see me afterwards, thank you. It's time for today's science lesson, the part of the show where we drill down into one specific scientific principle. So who can tell me what the following have got in common? This acrobatic biker? These teenage playground enthusiasts? And these guys, who are clearly nuts. If you said torque, take 5 house points. And in science terms, torque is also known as a turning force, which is the result of a force moving a moment arm around a pivot. A motorbike wheel is designed to convert torque from the engine into linear force through traction, propelling the motorbike forwards. When our rider opens the throttle, torque is applied to the back wheel. Newton's third law tells us that when one part of a mechanism experiences torque in one direction, the rest of the object experiences counter-torque in the opposite direction. So the body of the bike lifts into the air. When he applies the brake, the opposite happens. While the linear force of gravity creates additional torque, that helps to rotate the body of the bike back onto the ground. Torque is the result of a force turning a pivot. All clear? Let's see. Time for a pop quiz. Question 1. What happens when you use a single moment arm to generate torque at a wobbly pivot? That's what I call a spinning class. It's so important to rehydrate after exercise, so doing it in a bar is a smart idea. That's not so smart. This man is using a linear force from his arm to apply torque to his friend until her centre of mass strayed away from the pivot and a wipeout was inevitable. You're both barred. Question 2. Can you identify a situation where gravity can generate torque? That. This extreme off-roader is using torque in the wheels to propel him up a near vertical cliff. However, when the vehicle falls sideways, it's less able to resist the torque generated by gravity, and he rolls down the cliff. This BMXer demonstrates torque by converting the linear force into angular momentum. Close, but no cigar. At least he took it on the chin. All right, third and final question. To convert between torque and linear forces, what else do you need? Exactly, a moment arm and some traction. Useful stuff, torque. As long as you know how to use it. Class dismissed. I love exploring the world and getting away for a bit of a break. But when you're booking a holiday, you really, really need to read the small print, or you can get into big trouble. This guy has totally misunderstood water skiing. This man thought sport fishing would be relaxing. And this iguana had been led to believe the lilos were a lot bigger. You might have noticed that everyone was trying to stay afloat, and that's something that many animals can do much better than us. So let's dive headfirst into the science to find out why. In water, any object generates a buoyant force that is equal to the weight of the water they displace. If this buoyant force can balance their weight, the animal will float. A less dense animal will float higher in the water, thus reducing hydrodynamic drag, which makes it easier to swim. A more dense animal will sink deeper, displacing more water to generate a large enough buoyant force to balance their weight. And many water-going animals with fur or feathers have an oily hydrophobic coating. This helps them avoid getting waterlogged, which would increase their overall density. Staying afloat is all about buoyant force, hydrodynamics, and hydrophobic materials. But even for animals that like the water, it's not always plain sailing. Like this dog. Looks like he's having a great time. Or at least he did. Dogs get easily waterlogged and have a lower buoyancy than water-dwelling animals, which is easily overcome by his friends bombing him.
You look terrified.
Terrified and dog-tired. This cat is a feline scientist trying an experiment. He wants to land on the ring without falling in. The thing is, cats don't understand physics. Without a hydrophobic coat, he gets wet, becomes waterlogged, and then struggles to get traction on the low friction sides of the bath. Don't be embarrassed. It's only by failing that we learn. I've always found that nothing livens up a party like a little limbo. A bit of flexibility can go a long way, and the more laid back you are, the more successful you will be. So let's see, how low can you go? That was dreadful. Maybe you need to warm up first. Like these ladies. Well, I bet her face is warm now. But when you're stretched and ready, you can try your limbo with speed. Maybe a bit less speed. To properly explain why they failed to beat the limbo, we'll need to get our heads around the science. Our gymnast knows that the secret to successful limbo is modifying her body position to get her centre of mass as low as possible, whilst keeping it above her base of support. To do this, she squats down and pushes her legs out to the sides using extreme knee valgus. Her knees collapse inwards with her weight supported on the inside of her feet. She then leans her torso backwards to lower her centre of mass, using flexibility and core muscle strength to maintain the position. To keep her centre of mass above her base of support, she keeps her legs in position so that her feet stay beneath her and moves forward using small, deliberate movements to maintain balance. It sounds easy enough to become a limbo legend, and trust me, I know, but it isn't. I have a feeling that we are going to have to set a very low bar. Let's see if this rocker has got what it takes. Well, he made an attempt at a knee valgus, and he made it under the bar, but when he tries to take a step, his centre of mass moves forwards, but his feet are still behind him, and he topples. Not much rock, quite a lot of roll. This is nice to see, an impromptu street limbo. This guy looks like he knows what he's doing. Well, that's it, that's game over. He lacks the flexibility necessary to bend his body back far enough, and his centre of mass is too far forwards. Yep, you're still going to need to pay for your parking, though. Using a vehicle means you don't need to shuffle under the bar. Nice work, lads. You do still need to steer, though.
Mr. Motorcycle Man, you are kicked out.
That is quite right. Awful limbo etiquette. Charles Darwin once famously said that ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. And as if to prove his point, look at how confident this lot are.